welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really digging into an issue that affects pretty much everyone on the road, distracted driving. We've gathered quite a bit of material, including some really sharp insights from a piece called Cracking Down on Distracted Driving for Safer Roads. Our mission here is basically to cut through all the noise, pull out the key facts, and help you quickly understand what's going on, why it's such a big deal, and what you need to be aware of. It's funny, before smartphones were even a thing, before all this constant connection, there was already this dangerous situation, especially for motorcyclists, this whole idea of being invisible to drivers. It's why we have those slogans for years, right? Check twice, save a life.
Oh yeah, share the road.
Exactly. Share the road, drive aware, show you care. These weren't just catchy phrases. They were like urgent pleas from riders who felt incredibly vulnerable out there.
And, what's really crucial to understand is that even back then, way before the digital age, the fight was already happening. Motorcycle rights organizations, they were already pushing hard for what they called right-of-way laws.
Right.
The goal was to make negligent drivers actually accountable, with real fines and penalties if their carelessness put a biker in danger. So this sets the stage. Driver distraction wasn't invented by the smartphone. It was a problem long before. But wow, did things get worse?
You absolutely nailed it. It's like the groundwork was there for a problem that was just waiting to explode. When cell phones first arrived, it wasn't just another distraction. It fundamentally changed the driving environment. What was already tough for riders turned into, well, one source called it an absolute minefield. And initially, distracted driving mostly meant talking on the phone, maybe fumbling with texts. Early tech tried to help, like hands-free kits, trying to keep hands on the wheel. It felt sort of manageable back then. But jump to today. It's a whole different ballgame. Completely unrecognizable. We're way past just calls or texts. Cars now are loaded with Wi-Fi, complex infotainment systems, built-in apps. It's practically encouraging drivers to do more than just talk. We see people literally scrolling social media feeds.
Streaming videos?
Streaming videos, yeah. Or messing with complicated map settings while they're moving at highway speeds. It's like a total mental checkout.
It is. And that's a really critical distinction. This isn't just a quick glance away from the road anymore. Safety experts are now talking about internet addiction on wheels. It's become this pervasive issue, and you can draw a direct line between that and the rise in highway deaths.
It's scary.
It really is, especially when you think about how much progress we'd made in road safety over decades. Now, fatalities are climbing again, and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, they point directly at distracted driving. They say it triggered the biggest jump in traffic deaths in half a century.
Half a century, wow.
Yeah. And the tragic part, as you mentioned, is that vulnerable road users, motorcyclists, pedestrians, cyclists, they are disproportionately the ones paying the price for this recklessness, often the ultimate price.
So, okay, this crisis is escalating, and the law is finally trying to catch up. It feels like it's about time the rules got tougher. Let's zoom in on Ohio, because it's a really good case study of how the legal thinking is evolving. October 29, 2018, that's when Ohio's House Bill 95 kicked in, and it made some pretty big changes. What makes this bill such a game changer is how much it broadened the definition of distracted driving. It's not just about texting or holding a phone anymore. Before HB 95, proving someone was distracted, especially proving they were texting, was actually pretty hard for police. You needed solid proof.
Right, it's tough.
But this new law, it casts a much, much wider net. It defines distracted in two main ways. First, it's using a handheld electronic wireless communications device. That includes phones, tablets, computers, unless it's totally hands-free, like on speakerphone. So if it's in your hand, you're interacting with it, that's a violation. But the second part, this is where it gets really interesting and broad. It also covers any activity that is not necessary to the operation of a vehicle and could or does impair the driver. This shifts the focus from what device you're using to the actual impact of what you're doing. Is it impairing your driving?
And here's let's call it the strategic part, or maybe the tricky part. The bill very deliberately doesn't spell out exactly what necessary means or exactly what impair means.
Ah, okay. So it's intentionally vague.
You could say that. It seems intentional, yeah. It gives law enforcement and the courts flexibility. It means the law doesn't need updating every time some new gadget or app comes out. The source we looked at specifically mentions activities you might not immediately label as distracted driving, but they could fall under this now, especially if they lead to a crash.
Like what kind of things?
Well, think about really going to town on a messy burger while you're driving. Or trying to put on makeup in the rearview mirror.
Okay, I've seen that.
Or, getting totally absorbed in fiddling with the radio or trying to program a complicated GPS route while you're actually moving. If any of that stuff impairs your driving and contributes to an accident, boom, you could be cited under this broader definition. It really puts the responsibility on the driver to think, is this taking my focus away?
That ambiguity is definitely interesting. So let's get practical. How does HB 95 actually work on the street? Well, in Ohio, it makes this broadly defined distracted driving a secondary offense. What that means is, say you get pulled over for something else, maybe you're speeding, maybe you weave out of your lane, and the officer sees you doing something distracting at the same time.
Like eating that burger.
Exactly, like eating the burger or scrolling on your phone. They can tack on an extra $100 fine for the distraction. Or sometimes you might have the option to take a distracted driving safety class instead of paying the fine. The key thing, though, is the officer has to see the distracting behavior while you're committing the other moving violation. You generally can't be pulled over only for the distraction itself under this part of the law, unless maybe that distraction directly causes another clear violation, like swerving. And this is a pretty big change from the old Ohio law, right? The one from 2012.
Oh, absolutely.
Back then, it was basically just texting while driving that counted as a secondary offense, and like we said, proving texting was hard. HB 95, which got strong support from both Republicans and Democrats, by the way.
That's important, too. Bipartisan support.
Yeah, it goes way further. It now covers essentially all forms of distracted driving. It's not just about texting anymore. It shows this growing understanding that the problem is way bigger and more complex than just phones.
And Ohio isn't some outlier here. It's important to see this as part of a bigger trend across the country. States like Connecticut, Maine, Washington, West Virginia, even D.C., they already have similar, more expansive laws on the books.
So it's a national movement, really.
It seems to be, yeah. And Representative Jim Hughes, he was a Republican co-sponsor of HB 95 from Upper Arlington. He summed up the goal pretty clearly. He said, and I'm quoting here, "The enhanced penalty for distracted driving will help provide a deterrent to this reckless and dangerous activity. The goal, to save lives and make our roadways safer." Simple as that.
Makes sense.
And it's also worth pointing out, maybe surprisingly, that these specific extra penalties in Ohio, they don't add points to your license or go on your permanent driving record.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which suggests the focus is really on that immediate deterrence, the $100 fine right then and there, rather than long-term point accumulation.
Well, the need for these tougher laws, the need for that deterrence, it becomes tragically clear when you look at the human cost. It's just awful. The NHTSA numbers, they're staggering. Last year alone, 3,308 people killed.
3,000 lives and an estimated 289,310 people injured, all in crashes directly caused by distracted drivers. I mean, just think about those numbers for a second. These aren't abstract stats. That's thousands of families completely devastated, hundreds of thousands of people may be permanently injured because someone couldn't wait to check a notification or finish their lunch. It's entirely preventable.
Absolutely. And that devastating human cost is exactly why we're seeing more proactive enforcement on the ground.
Yeah.
The Ohio State Highway Patrol, for example, they aren't just waiting around hoping things get better. They're launching a really focused, pretty aggressive crackdown specifically targeting distracted driving.
Okay.
And what makes this significant is it's not just Ohio acting alone. It's part of a coordinated effort involving 6 states.
6 states working together.
Yeah. The message they're sending is loud and clear. If you're driving distracted in Ohio or even in the bordering states involved in this initiative, you are officially on notice. This coordinated approach really highlights how seriously law enforcement is taking this now. And these broader laws, combined with that ramped up enforcement, it means drivers can easily find themselves facing, let's call it layered penalties if they're not careful. The consequences can stack up pretty quickly now. Think about it like this. You're driving, maybe really focused on eating that messy sandwich we talked about.
The sandwich again.
Hey, it's a good example. And because you're distracted, you swerve out of your lane. Under these rules, you could get hit with a ticket for the lane violation and another fine for the distracted driving. Double trouble.
Right, 2 hits.
Or another common one. You're fiddling with your radio, maybe the touchscreen infotainment system, trying to find a song. Your eyes are off the road. You roll up to an intersection, still distracted, and blow right through a stop sign. Same deal. You're facing the penalty for running the stop sign, plus potentially that extra $100 distracted driving fine because that's what led to you running the sign. It really hammers home the point. Any secondary distraction that contributes to another violation, likely going to cost you extra right then and there.
And that brings us back to the core message from law enforcement. Colonel Paul A. Pride, who's a key figure in these efforts, put it very directly. He said, "If you're behind the wheel, you need to be completely focused on driving."
Simple. Clear.
Exactly. It's not just advice. It's a fundamental requirement, born from seeing the results of distraction firsthand, the deaths, the injuries. The Highway Patrol and their partners in the surrounding states, they are dead serious about stopping this. Your entire focus needs to be on driving, period.
So wrapping this up a bit, we've seen how the whole idea, the very definition of distracted driving, has really shifted dramatically. It's moved way beyond just talking on a handheld phone to covering almost anything that pulls your essential focus away from the road. And we've discussed why these updated laws, like Ohio's HB 95, aren't just about punishment. They're really critical tools for trying to improve safety for everyone, especially for those folks like motorcyclists who are already out there just trying to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe, looking forward, here's something for you, the listener, to mull over. Think about how our ever-increasing reliance on in-car, smarter navigation, voice commands that sometimes misunderstand you, those big touch screens everywhere, how might that continue to challenge road safety in the future?
Good question.
As cars get smarter and offer more ways to interact, does that just create new forms of distraction? And maybe more fundamentally, beyond whatever the law says, what's our personal responsibility? What responsibility do we each have every time we get behind the wheel to actively choose to focus only on driving, regardless of all the technology vying for our attention? It's a challenge that's constantly evolving, always asking us to be more mindful.